Hello. Hello, my makers, my artists. Hi, Caroline. Welcome. Glad you guys are here. Hi, Claire. Hi, Erin. How's everybody doing? Got some waves. Got some hellos. Hello, hello. Glad you guys are here. Just kind of, we'll wait a couple seconds for everyone to get on. What's everybody been doing? What's happening? Hi, Sophia. Sophia, I wrote your, that means texted, or no, not emailed. I emailed your mom back. She had a lot of questions for you to share your stuff. I'd love to see it too, so I'm glad she was inquiring. Hi, Olivia. Hi. What else do we have going on here? They're going fast now. Lots of names going fast. Hi, Sarah. My goodness. Hello, hello. Oh, there's some names, some hearts. Hello, guys. Today we're gonna do some art because it was voted for. Remember, you guys voted for this, which is great, and which made me so happy. First of all, that makes me so happy that you wanted to do art even on our day off of school. So I'm here and I'm glad to do it with you. We're gonna be making. Let me show you what we're gonna be making today. We are gonna do a bird's eye view of some koi fish. And in Japan and China, there are lots of folklores and legends of the koi fish. And the koi fish was originally a carp. And then the legends, which created, basically some people actually started domesticating them a little more and breeding them, and then they became the koi. But it was originally the carp. And the legend has it that the koi fish would swim upstream and or downstream depending what's going on, and the one that could go the strongest, the strength, because the koi fish represents, let me show you what we're doing again. Hi Nolani, hi Zia. The koi fish represents strength and good fortune, and they have actually lots of cool meanings, but they're all like power, strength, good fortune, all positive, cool things. And it was because the koi fish would swim upstream and they'd keep going. And the legend has it that they tried to swim upstream for over 100 years. And after they swam upstream, one fish was able to go through the waterfall, jumped over the waterfall, and the legend has it, if you were able to jump the waterfall and had enough strength, you turned into a golden dragon. And of course, the dragon in Japanese and Chinese culture is also representative of strength and power and good fortune. So the koi actually has a very cool kind of legend behind it, which I actually didn't know until I knew I wanted to draw koi fish, and I love how they look, and there's cool different kinds of Japanese painting type styles that you can do. Today we're just going to draw it and add some color. And but when I started looking it up, I was like, oh my goodness, there's like so many cool things. So if you have a chance later on and you want to look up the legend of the koi fish or the meanings of koi fish, you can do that, and it's actually pretty interesting. Just gonna tell you that right now. So we're gonna start, and you can do it with a pencil first. We'll start with just drawing kind of out our fish. We're gonna do a bird's eye view. Remember, a bird's eye view is we're looking like we're pretending we're a bird, and we're looking down. If we were flying from the sky, what we would see. So we are gonna be like pretending we're looking down into a koi pond, and we've seen these beautiful fish, and so we're going to be looking down, and we will add different things that you might see in the pond, like maybe little air bubbles from the fish. We may add some lily pads, things like that, and I'm going to show you how to do all of that today. Okay, so I'm glad you're here. Happy Friday. Make sure that you're all good to your moms this weekend, and tell them how grateful you are for them, and all that good stuff. Okay, make sure you have something fun, maybe like the little coupons, maybe draw a little beautiful card or picture, make something sweet for your mom to show her how much you appreciate her. And I'm sure this special feeling she'll get from that, she'll adore and love. And remember forever, one day, when you're a teenager and you're rotten, or maybe you are a teenager and you're rotten already, and then she'll forgive you. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera. We're going to get started. I'm glad you guys are here. Let's create. Let's do it, people. Okay, carefully I'm going to do this because I actually did put lotion on my hands moments before coming down to my art room. And I even had difficulty putting my camera in the tripod. So I knew it could have been one of those days, guys. So I am doing a touchless tripod thing happening here. Let me make sure I have enough room for my legs. Okay, so hopefully you can see. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you're going to get a white sheet of paper. And remember, we're doing a bird's eye view. It doesn't have to be white, really. If you had different colors, you could. But the easiest thing is just using a plain sheet of paper. Now, we're going to draw, pretending we are looking down, almost like we're a bird flying over, or we're a person. And we are just kind of gazing into this beautiful koi pond. I actually used to have a cute koi pond in my backyard. But then we got an addition and it took up too much of our yard. And then Mr. A made me get rid of it. It was a sad day, guys. It was a very sad day. But now I have a cute little she shed greenhouse that I replaced it with. Joke's on Mr. A, guys. Joke's on Mr. A. Anyway, okay, so get your sheet of paper out. I'm going to kind of move this to the side now. And we're going to do it step by step together. I'm going to draw in straight up in marker. Straight up now, tell me, do you really want to love me forever? Oh, oh, oh. You guys don't know that probably, but your parents do. I think it's Paula Abdul. Okay, so we're going to take if you want to start in pencil, make sure you go ahead and do that first. I know a lot of you are going to want to, because if you don't get the exact line correct, you might want to go back and kind of change the shape or the curve of the line. That's fine. But because you guys know on the camera, you can't see my pencil when I draw in pencil, so I'm going to go ahead and just draw right away in marker. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to start drawing, because we're going to do two fish, okay? So I'm going to start doing this smaller top one, and you can kind of see here, it's almost like a raindrop, but then it's almost curved at the bottom. So, and it doesn't, there is no wrong or right way. So if you think it's not looking good, just hold your little horses and maybe just keep going and see what happens. Or go ahead and erase and adjust it. But right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start like this. Watch me first. And then you can also draw. I'm just going to kind of draw this paisley shaped curved raindrop. Okay. That's going to be my first fish. And that's my first shape that I'm going to start with. All right. And if you're ready, you can start drawing with me. Okay, guys. And then I'm going to do a larger fish. Remember, I have two fish here. So I want to go ahead and draw this same kind of shape. I'll add all the details and the fins and the patterns or the gills and all that kind of stuff later. But first I'm just starting with the shape. So right, next one, go ahead, take your time. If you want to, you're going to go ahead and draw another shape. And in a way, it's almost like a yin-yang kind. Do you see that? Which is also very an important symbol in both Japanese and Chinese culture, which, you know what, I don't know if there's a correlation of the koi and the yin-yang, but I will look it up later, as well as you should. Maybe somebody already knows and you're going to tell us right now. Okay, so right now we've just started. Remember, we're going to go ahead, we're drawing this bird's eye view. I see a lot of people just joined, so I'm going to go ahead and show this again. We're going to be drawing this beautiful bird's eye view of koi fish. And they're going to be in a little koi pond. We're going to add some lily pads in the water and all the good stuff. And so far what we've done is we've just taken our piece of paper and drawn these two kind of paisley or raindrop curved type motifs. A motif is just like one part of a pattern. Everyone say motif. Motif. So a motif is when you create a pattern, and let's say your pattern is paisley square triangle, paisley square triangle. One breakdown or one part of that pattern is your motif. And there's a lot of famous motifs, and there's also a lot of famous motifs that are connected to different cultures, and so that are more popular, I guess, in different cultures, or that you may see more often in those kind of places. But of course the paisley is kind of this curved raindrop shape. Now I have a smaller one and a larger one. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding on the fins or the tail. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of, my markers, holy Toledo, my markers are actually going out. That's not cool. I'm going to have to make some liquid watercolor with it. All right, I'm going to go here, and I'm just kind of doing a curved, almost like leaf-like fin type shape. Now, in this case, on my first one, you see I had enough space to draw both of them separate, not overlapping. In this one, you're going to notice that in order for me to draw my tail on the end of my fish, I really do have to do some kind of cool overlapping, which is actually going to be great. So watch for what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and same thing, I'm going to kind of go like this, and I'm going to pick up my pencil or my marker and kind of come here. And so it almost looks like it overlaps or they cross over. I did also read that, I'm going to do another one over here. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect, that's fine. And I'm not going to add any details yet, I'm just adding that tail. Okay, and then I am going to start adding the eyes next. So the eyes are actually very predominant on a koi fish. And if you look here when I drew it, I found out, I was reading today, they have no eyelids, and they actually do have a clear kind of coating over the koi fish that protects their eye, but there's no eyelid or anything else around it, but they are predominant. So what we're going to do is on the side here, kind of the side front, but not right in front. Not right in front. We want to kind of move to the side a little. I'm going to make a big half kind of rainbow. And I'm going to do the same thing inside of that. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Here's my cool fish eyes. And I'm going to leave a small section that's going to be white. I'm going to go closer so you can see. Do you see that in this one? Oh, I have a Band-Aid on my finger. That looks terrible. I do actually have liquid Band-Aid too, but I couldn't play guitar just with liquid Band-Aid. So I had to put a real Band-Aid over my liquid Band-Aid. Now I'm going to go ahead and start coloring in that section like that, okay? Do it a little bit more. Go ahead. Hopefully you've started now, and I'm sure some of you have erased or flipped your paper over or did another one, because I know how you guys are. Love that about you. I'm the same way, actually. It's fine. I get it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this guy, and I want to add some eyes on him. I'm going to make his a little bit more predominant. Really nice and big old cool fish eyes. And they're kind of just half rainbow type shapes. And same thing, I'm going to leave a small section that's going to be white. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest with black. If you're using pencil right now, you're just drawing the line, so you don't have to worry about what you're coloring. But remember, my lesson's going to be archived on Instagram on my story for the next 24 hours. So you can go back anytime. Or I also save it and upload it on YouTube. Make sure that you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel too, because I can do a lot more with YouTube if I had more subscribers, which I've recently found out. And I have lots of views of my videos, but I have only, I don't know, like 19 or 20. I'm going to add some of the kind of lines in my tail just to add some kind of extraness to my tail fin. And but if I have more subscribers, I guess, or subscribers on Instagram. I'm so old, I'm not hip enough with that. Now I'm gonna go ahead, so subscribe to my channel is what I'm saying. If it was YouTube, I'd be like, click the link below. But it's Instagram, so go to YouTube and be like at art class at Ms.A with Ms.A, ms.a, and go ahead and rewatch any of my videos on my lessons, or and also and also subscribe to my channel. And then you also know when I upload something. Now when we're doing these tail kind of, I don't think this is a dorsal, I think the dorsal fin's underneath, but this is that top one. And I did find that the fins on, it's actually super interesting, the fins on a koi fish apparently are very agile. So they can, like, first of all, it's helping them swim. It's helping them swim upstream, downstream, same as like the legend, the Chinese-Japanese legend that I just told you about. But also, they are able to be damaged and repaired very easily. Now, when you're doing this top fin, you want to kind of follow the same kind of curved line. So you're going to do kind of a curved line and then maybe kind of come up with a wavy kind of line, giving the idea of that top kind of motion. Let me show that closer. See how I haven't connected it yet, but you want to have a curvier line or wavier line here. The bottom one is going to match the same kind of curve that you had on the outside of the fish. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to connect that. Beautiful. Looking good, people. Now, on a koi fish, we also have, there's actually, I did not know this either. I knew there was at least 2 on the sides, but apparently there's 3 side and bottom type fins. And of course, there's going to be the one that kind of just comes like any kind of fish may have. That's just going to kind of come out of the side. So you go ahead and add those now. And it's almost like a leaf or a kind of organic shape that you're kind of creating. And if you don't get the shape that you're really looking for right now, go back, erase it, fix it up. You got this. You can do it. Now, because it's a bird's eye view, we might not see all the fins. And if you see in my example here, I only showed 2 on the sides and the 2 back ones here. Same on this guy. Now, there is actually a second one and third one that are very similar that kind of come out from the side to help the koi swim, the strength of the koi. So you could add it depending on what kind of angle you have of your fish. But if you have a similar angle to me, you might just stick with the same kind of fins I have. Okay, next we're going to add some fins on this little guy. I mean, are they like brother and sister? Is it mom and dad? Is it a mom and a daughter? She's teaching her how to swim. She's like, hey. What did Dory always sing? What was Dory sing? Mia, do you remember? What Dory sang? Just keep going. Just something like that. You know, Nemo. Oh. Okay, now if you look right here what I just did, I did a kind of a very thin oval at the top. That's the top of the koi's mouth, and that's me looking down, remember. If I was to look straight at a koi in the face, I would see a circle, but because I'm looking at a bird's eye view, I'm seeing more of an oval. And they also have these, because remember, a koi was originally a catfish, so it's very similar to a catfish. It has those like kind of whiskery kind of antennas in the front, feelers. And so these kind of come out. They're a thin, skinny kind of antenna type of guide for the fish, okay? And there's 2 that are going to come out of the top of the head or the front of the face of the fish. And I need to do that to this guy too. So first I'm going to start with that oval again, so I can have that kind of top of the fish's mouth. And then I'm going to go ahead and add those kind of feelers. This one's going to actually run right off the edge on part of it because of the size of my paper. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that. So right now, you see, now look at this. Looking gorgeous, people. Now, before I add any patterns onto my fish, I'm going to kind of work on the background. We have all this negative space. Remember, the negative space is the empty space in the back. And we're going to slowly start adding just some air bubbles, and then we'll start adding some lily pads as though we're looking down from a bird's eye view. We're looking down from the top directly on it, okay? So we're going to do that now. Now, the bubbles are just kind of these kind of fun water air bubbles. There's no wrong or right way. You can add a couple near the fish's head. You can add some up here just to show the illusion or the idea that you're in water. And I'm just going to kind of different size circles all around, okay? And there's no right or wrong way. You're really just kind of doing that. And you could make it look even like there was pebbles or stone at the bottom, like almost like you're really looking into a pond. That's totally cool too. And however you want to do it. Now, I'm chewing on ice, guys. Those of you who know me know I love chewing on ice. Everyone's like, what are you chewing on? In class, like I'm eating something. I'm like, oh, it's just ice. I don't know why, but I love chewing ice. Okay, so here's a lily pad. So we're going to make it look just like in this one, where these ones were, this guy may be swimming on top of him, on top of the lily pad. And those of you who just joined us, welcome. Hi, Rosie. Hi, Grace. Hi, Caitlin. So remember, we're going ahead right now. If you were just joining us, because I saw a lot of people just joined. If you just joined, you can start drawing what we're doing too. But we're doing some koi fish here. And we already have our fish pretty well on their way. Bird's eye view, guys. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a V. And I'm going to have to kind of curve it around. This is part of my lily pad. I want to stop when I get to my fish. If you have a pencil, I'm up here if you can see me. It's so funny using this Band-Aid finger. Anyway, and then I'm going to kind of go around. And I'm going to let the bubbles look like they're on top of my lily pad. That's fine. And it's almost like a heart in a way, but it's kind of this lily pad shape. And you could even add some of the details of the lily pad. Maybe some lines around the edge. That's fine. And then I also like to add just some kind of lines off the side, because a lily pad would actually be growing on a stem. And if you were looking down into a pond or a body of water with koi, you would see some of the other growth of the lily pads underneath. You might even want to add some beautiful water lilies in the back. If you have space and room, you could draw a bird's eye view of a water lily or a lotus like opening. I mean, please send me those, because that would be amazing. And I'm going to add another one down here because I have a lot of negative space. Again, I'm going to start with a V. My marker is really running out, guys. This is crazy. I feel like I have so many art supplies and my plain old Sharpies and getting sad. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go around. Well, my bubbles, there's a nice lily pad. Maybe add some of the details. Maybe even lighter if I want. Maybe I'm going to make it look like there is a stem over here. And I might even have another one that kind of comes off, just off to the side over here. That's fine. Do I want to add some more air bubbles? Maybe. You can add some more air bubbles if you like. However you want to do it. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my different patterns. So when I was looking up koi fish, you guys, super interesting. Because people started breeding these carp and then they became... I think I called them catfish earlier, but they're really carp. But I think carp and catfish are like cousins or something. I'm not sure. Don't make sure. I don't know if that's true. So you better look that up before I say something. But anyway, they're very similar. And when they started breeding them and raising them, that's when they were able to kind of start deciding, okay, this one's going to be these certain kind of colors. People like this better, or this has different meaning. And so I'm going to show you, like I did here, I did one where you're going to see more gills. And then you're going to see one that is more kind of this spotted, cool, kind of cow spotted in an orange way, with black and orange and yellow type pattern. Okay. Okay. Oh, we got some more people joining. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here. All right. So next I'm going to go on this guy. I'm going to just start with him. I'm just going to really kind of create a spotted, kind of curvy line pattern. I'm kind of just going over. Some of them are going to maybe run into that fin. Some are going to run off the side of the edge of the fish. Maybe even over here. Maybe I want a cool kind of spot up here. Okay. And then on this guy, I'm going to go ahead and do the gills. And I did read all koi fish do have gills. However, some are more predominant. It depends on the style of koi. Now, I'm not going to draw every single gill. I'm just giving the illusion. So I'm kind of creating that texture. So I'm making these kind of curved, almost parenthesis or rainbow type lines. And I'm just giving the illusion, which hopefully you can also do, the illusion of the gills. Something happening. You can tell there's some kind of texture on my fish. Let me go ahead and show you that close up. Okay. So I just did 2 different koi. I've added lily pads. I have air bubbles. Now I am ready to add the color. Okay, people, we are ready. Now, if you drew it in pencil, you're going to then want to trace in black marker or something. And of course, take an eraser and go ahead and clean up any pencil lines so that you don't see any pencil lines. And it's just a nice black and white line drawing that you can now add color to. Okay, so you have this beautiful bird's eye view of your good fortune and strength and powerful koi fish. So, sitting here drinking water, chewing ice, people. All right, so we're ready. So it totally depends on you. Do you have crayons? Do you have paint? Do you have watercolor? With this one, I used some crayon. I used a lot of watercolor, and then and of course marker. Then I even put a little kind of chalk on top just for fun. You can do the same thing with colored pencils, markers, watercolors, oil pastels, whatever you have, okay? So you could just plain color it with a crayon, or you can, the possibilities are endless, people. But let's do it. So I'm just going to show you some of the ways I might add some color. So I'll start with my fish. What's our time? 12:55. Mia is giving me the time. Thank you, Mimi. Oh, you know what I forgot, actually? You know what I did? I did forget something. If you see, I do want to add, before I add color, some of these motion type lines, almost to kind of show the motion of the fish. There's movement happening there. So what I'm going to do is just here, like that curve of that fish, maybe I'm going to add a couple little lines, one longer, one shorter, just to show like, hey, this guy's moving. He's swimming upstream. He's one of those powerful guys. And, you don't need a lot, but you could do one there. You can maybe even add one over up by the tail, whatever you like. Just add a couple, maybe even one little guys right there, okay? So if you see what I did, I just added some little motion lines. Here's a good view that you can see of some motion lines. Right here, I added some. It just kind of fills in that negative space, but it also gives the idea or the illusion of the movement of the fish. Okay? Now, let's add color. Okay, so some of you, of course, have liquid watercolor that we've made. You have watercolor cakes, markers, whatever you're doing. As long as you're ready to add color, go for it. Oil, pastel, whatever your favorite medium is, whatever you've got going. Let's see it, people. Now, I'm going to start with just using a regular marker. If I'm just using a regular marker, I can start actually coloring in some of these sections. Maybe I want to do some orange, and maybe I even want a little yellow just to kind of blend it. If you have a paintbrush, remember, if you get any orange on a lighter color, just take an extra piece of paper and kind of wipe that off to clean your marker. Snap your cap. Snap that cap. I'm going to actually move, can I do that? Can I move my black paper now? Yeah, I think so. I'm going to move the black paper just so the water doesn't soak through onto my black paper and mess up my artwork. Okay, so I'm just going to, that was too much water. Let me get a paper towel. Always have a paper towel or something on hand. So when you do something like Ms.A. did, you can blot your brush. Blot your brush, baby. Now, if you put water like that and you want to add a little more color, you can. You can take your markers into a wet surface. So let me show you. If I just took water and on my brush, just water and brush, and I'm going to fill in this little organic shape that I created for my koi fish. And if I add some marker in there, you can see it actually treats it pretty similar to what a watercolor would do. And I'm going to add a little yellow too. So you really get that watercolor effect even without watercolors. Okay. And I'm going to add a little more orange to this guy. I want him to be a little more orange. And I did see, and I can't remember what all the colors were, but the colors do actually have meanings as well. So when you see a koi fish that's more orange and yellow and black, it has a different meaning than one that is orange and red, or different things. So they have different ones, or black and white. They have different meanings. Okay, and I also want to do the fin, so let me color my fin too. I'm going to actually switch to a paint pen. Some of you have these paint markers that look like this. It looks like a paintbrush, but it's a marker. Those are cool too. You can definitely use those. Those have a little different effect, but what's cool about it, as you can kind of get in there, just the same way, add color, add some pigment. Remember, pigment is a color. And then they come with, which is the same thing as just a wet paintbrush, but they have paintbrush pens that have refillable water in them. You can use something like that too, or a regular paintbrush with water. Either way, and this kind of squeezes, and then when you squeeze it a little, you add some water, and then check this out. If I want to add some yellow in there, it really flows and makes a really beautiful effect of that kind of watercolor effect. If you get out of the lines a little, that's fine. It's beautiful. That's fine. Do not worry about it. Do not fret, my friends, my young artist friends. And then I'm going to add a little water here just to kind of blend that a little better. I think that's beautiful. Remember when you're adding water or doing watercolor to not put too much water or saturate a space, because as you know, that can tear your paper. Don't tear your paper, people. This is just regular water cakes. I think you can see, yeah, you can see my thing. So this one I'm just going to kind of go in here. I'm going to add kind of a yellowy orange color right now. And I'm just going to lightly go ahead and do that. Okay. And I'm going to kind of just paint that guy in a little. And you don't have to, it just depends what you're doing. You can add more color or less. Are you coloring with crayons? I would like to see that. What are you guys coloring with? Can some people tell me what you're doing? Hi, Rose. It's Luke. Hi, Luke. I have watercolor pencils. Oh, yes, those work. Those are amazing. I love watercolor pencils. You know what? I actually don't think I even have any watercolor pencils at home. I have them at school, but I don't have them at home. Those of you who don't know what that is, so it's a regular color pencil. It looks like a regular color pencil, but they actually are called watercolor pencil because something in the pigment, the way the pencil is made, when you add water with a brush, you can get the same effect, and it kind of blends like a watercolor. They're actually very cool too. So those of you who have that, yes, you can definitely be using that. I'm going to add some marker on top of it just to kind of add some more color into my gills. Okay, looking cool. Looking lovely. Let me see what some of you said you were using. Crayons, watercolors. I'm not coloring. I'm marking. Okay, marker. Okay, markers. Good job. Some of you are still drawing. I see. That's fine too. Take your time. There's no rush. You do not have to rush to do this. And I'm going to go ahead now and start adding some color to my tail, to my fins here. I'm just going to do that with some watercolor. Can I add colored pencil on top of it, or crayon or marker once it's dry if you're using watercolor? Of course, that would be amazing. So just using multimedia. Remember that media or medium is one tool in art. So if you use markers, we're already, unless you're only using markers, you're probably already doing some kind of multi or mixed media artwork right now. So, but if it's dry, if you watercolor and you dry, and then can you add something on top? Of course, yes, gorgeous. Please do. Have a good time. Now, I'm going to take some green, baby. What did I do with my green? Here we go. All right, I'm going to add, oh, you know, I should finish my fish first. I'm all over the place, guys. I can't decide what to do. I'm going to actually do these kind of side fins and the dorsal fins and all that kind of stuff. So let me add some more there. Here I'm going to add just orange. I'm just going to go straight up with marker right now. I'm going to color it in a lot with marker, but not perfectly, because I'm going to go ahead and do one of those water kind of tricks where I blend it a little. And that really fills it in and gives that cool watercolor effect. It's very beautiful. And I'm also going to do that on this beautiful tail that I have going here. I'm going to turn my paper a little. Can you still see it? Yes, you're good. Let's see. I'm going to read what I'm coloring. I shouldn't read what I'm coloring. Paint brushes. Okay. I see Zia and Noelani are using crayons. I like it, girlies. Can't wait to see your artwork. Can't wait to see it. But I have been really loving all of you sending me stuff. Some of you even send me cool videos on Instagram to my DM of you guys showing me different projects that you're doing and ask me your opinion, like for your own kind of personal critique. I mean, love you. Love it. I love that. Hi, Ellen. I see Ellen joined. So, guys, we're going to keep adding color to our koi fish. Now, remember, this is a bird's eye view, so we do see other things. We're going to see some of these fins. We want to add some color there. Depending on what you're using, colored pencil, marker, is all different. So right here, I'm gonna leave this fish, just like in my example, I'm going to leave this fish pretty white, but I'm going to add a light orange on top part, just to add a little value later. But right now, when I'm adding the marker, or the paint marker or the crayon or the watercolor, however you're doing it, adding your color, I'm going to leave this space in my fish white currently. So I'm going to add some orange there. I'm going to add a little in that cool spot on his nose. Beautiful. Oh, and I want some on this guy's fins over here. You know what? I kind of want a little bit more on top, so I'm going to add a little color on top of that watercolor. That's fine. You can do that too. Don't worry about going out of a line or anything like that. Take your paintbrush with some water, kind of blend that. Remember, if you had the paint pens, you can go ahead and use that fancy little pump brush water, but it's literally the same as a paintbrush with water. There's nothing fancy about it except that it has a pump with water in it, but it's just a fancy brush, but you can do the same thing. Now I'm going to add a little yellow even in my fins, maybe here too. Just add some value. Even a little up here, why not? And because there's water already on the paper, I'm doing like a kind of a wash where it adds that color in. It's beautiful. And I'm going to add a little of my paints orange pen on top here just to give a little more value. I still want to have that predominant gills, the scales, but I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more on him. Lovely. I like that. Looking good. Want a little yellow here. And probably some of you are going to be looking up the meanings of the different colors. If you do that, you might choose certain color scheme for your fish, but I'm sticking kind of with a basic guy. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some green on my lily pads. Same thing, take your marker, take your watercolor, whatever you want to do. I'm taking one of my paint pens and just kind of going around. The cool thing about paint pens too, because it has that paintbrush tip, can you see that it almost adds a paintbrush effect where you actually see the brush strokes. So that's really nice. And if you're just using a colored pencil or something, you can go over and layer with a dry brush later and kind of get that same effect. Or you can just color it all the way in, whatever's happening. And I'm going to add a little more green, but in a different tint. So this is a different shade of green. And I'm going to add a little darker green in there just to have a little bit more happening. Okay, I'm going to do that to this guy too. And just kind of take your time. I'm going pretty fast, so you don't have to go as fast as me. I'm going to add a little water in there on that paint. Or not on that paint, I'm sorry, on that marker. Because it's a water-based marker, remember, it's going to bleed and give us a little more of the color. And I think I'm going to even add a little just regular yellow marker on this one. I'm going to add some of that. I'm going to watch out for my air bubbles because I kind of want to leave those white. I want to stick more with my lily pad just getting colored in. It's looking good, people. Now, we still need to do these kind of antenna whiskers, and then we need to do our background. So I'm going to go ahead and do the antenna whiskers right now. And that I kind of just use a brown or type gray color, whatever you want. I'm just going to take my paints marker and just kind of go in there really quick. Kind of add some color in there. You can color pencil. If you're painting and you have a small area like that, that might be a fun area just to take a colored pencil and color it in, even if the rest is paint, just so that you can get the small details in that small spot. Because if you don't have a small enough brush, it is more difficult, of course, to get in those tiny little spaces. Okay, so now we definitely need our background happening. So we have two fish, one's larger than the other. We've added lily pads. We have these cool motion lines. We have air bubbles to give the idea that we're in water. But now we need to color the background, that background negative space. I'm going to use watercolor. One thing you, of course, can do, and I've shown you this before, with watercolor, you can take just regular table salt and sprinkle it on. And when it's dry, you kind of do a nice soft brush off of the salt, and it's going to give a really cool effect of that water kind of air bubble look and appearance. So that's a cool thing you could do too. I'm just going to use some regular old liquid watercolor right now, and I'm just going to kind of go in there and start painting. Now, when you're doing the background space like this, I like to, some of my air bubbles that I created, I like to kind of leave those white. And I don't always go back into my paint. Sometimes I just go into the water to kind of spread the paint, because a lot of times a big mistake people make with watercolor is they think that they need more water, but a lot of times you just need to kind of spread out the pigment. So just depends what's going on. Now see here, I have some really tiny little spaces. So depending what's going on, I'm obviously pretty good with the brush, but if you need a smaller brush at this point, if you have one, that might be a good time to come in with a smaller brush. Maybe you did your fish in paint, but you came in with colored pencil or crayon in the background. That would be cool too. Or maybe a texture rubbing for the blue, but you did everything else in paint. Totally amazing. That would be fun too. I'm going to go into the cake watercolors too, just because they're more common for you guys to have. Just to show you any kind of watercolor, it does not matter. Or marker. Remember, you can add water to your marker or water on your paper and then draw your marker on top, and that will spread your marker, your water-based marker, to appear like a watercolor and give you that really beautiful effect. Now, if you go over a line and, get some blue on the fish or something on your lily pad, do not fret, my young artists. It's totally fine. It does not matter. No one's going to notice. You're the only one who's going to ever know. You're doing good. Keep going. Don't just crinkle it up and start over. If you get frustrated, that's one of the most difficult parts of the e-learning and remote learning, is that I can't come around and say, hey, you know what, and like kind of give you little tips when I see what you're actually doing or what's frustrating you so that you keep going. So I hope you can imagine that I'm there and I'm saying, hey guys, keep going, brother, keep going, sister, you got this. So I'm going to keep going with my blue. And some of my air bubbles over here, I'm going to add some water on top so they look like they're below. Some are going to be above. I think I'm just going to go right over that one. Why not? I'm going to spread it out. Now you can also do an effect where you add water first. So I'm going to just add water in this section, then go into my paint, and then you're going to see this beautiful kind of wash. My paint spreads beautiful when you do that, okay? Someone's mom is an artist too. I love that. Hi Luke, how's it going? I see you. I hope you're actually painting with me. Even if you're not and you're just watching, that's cool too, actually. I'm just glad you're here with us. I miss everybody. Okay, so now I'm going to keep going. Get in those little spaces. Mimi, what's our time, Sweet Pea? What's happening? And what's cool is when I'm filling in this... 1:11. Okay. When I'm filling in these spaces, you'll see the white fish, the fish that I left with a lot of white, it's really going to pop because I'm filling that negative space in with a color. Now, another cool thing about this colors that I actually used here is blue and orange. Some of you are going to know this. Some of you are going to need to be reminded. But blue and orange are actually complementary colors on the color wheel. So they actually help each other pop out and work really well together. They complement each other. So us Chicago people think of blue and orange as the Bears. So, which is fine too. If that's how you remember it, it's great because they're complementary colors. Perfect. But it's going to really make our art stand out today and look gorgeous. It's looking gorgeous. Now, if you were someone who had some table salt, I actually didn't bring any down here today, downstairs. But if I did, when it's wet like that, that's when you want to go ahead and sprinkle some salt on top. If you're going to want to go for that cool salt effect that you brush off later. I know at class, at school, sometimes we do some kind of cool winter landscapes where we want it to almost appear like it's snowing in the distance. And we do the same kind of thing maybe in the sky. So some of you, whoops, I have a little bit too much there. But some of you have done stuff like that with me before. And if you have, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I know we did one of our lessons like this and we added salt too. So some of you did it then if you didn't do it in class with me. But it really does give a cool effect. And it's a great effect for like a snowy sky, but it's also a great effect in this case for a beautiful kind of water effect to give that idea of the water and the movement and the air bubbles and all that kind of good stuff. So now you're just kind of going around. Now, is anyone actually, are you guys adding color yet? I saw some of you are because you told me what you're using. What's everyone else doing? What's going on? Oh, Alia has joined. Hi, Ali. Sometimes when I'm reading the feed, it gets stuck. Some of you know that because I've told you before. So sometimes I can't see what I see it, but then until I rewatch it, it gets stuck. So I kind of don't see everything as it's happening. So if I miss a comment from you or a question, I apologize. You can always, email me or, like DM me on Instagram and ask a question. That's totally fine. Whatever you like. If you have questions for me, or have your mom or your dad or whoever email me, that's fine. Make sure that they do send me the picture so I can see all your artwork, because that's been honestly one of my highlights of this whole staying at home stuff. So please do, because it makes Ms.A happy. You know you want to make Ms.A happy. I'm sure you do, because you guys know I'll start crying otherwise. I don't want to make Ms.A cry. I don't know if I cry for that, but I do cry when people are mean to each other. You guys know that. I'm like, can't everybody just be friends? Yeah, I think these two koi fish are friends. These guys are buddies for sure. So I'm just kind of filling in still. And the motion lines that I drew on earlier, the lines that kind of showed the action or the motion of the fish, those I'm going to paint right over. I want those are going to show, but because I'm using watercolor, the watercolor is more transparent. It's going to show all that. I'm going to go back to some liquid watercolor just for fun, kind of mix up some of my blues. Can you use different shade of blue? Yes. Could I add crayon on top of it? Yes. All of those things. Doesn't matter how you add the color. Just do it how you like. Use what you have, and I guarantee it will be gorgeous. Now, add a little bit more. I'm going to go around this little air bubble a little bit. Oops, I got it in there. That's fine. No biggie. Now, okay, it's looking great. So, really quick, I'm going to clean off my brush. Make sure you clean your brushes. Make sure you snap your caps. In fact, actually, right now I am going to snap that cap. Snap that cap. And I'm going to snap another one. Snap that cap. Snap that cap. You want to keep all your tools working, guys. So make sure you're doing that. Now, if it's dry, mine's not totally dry yet, you can add other things like oil pastels. Excuse me. Oil pastels or chalk or anything. So on here, or marker or colored pencil, any kind of thing, maybe more of a texture. See on my lily pads how you see a little more texture than you may see in other areas. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to add just a little chalk. Mine is a little wet, but that's okay. I'm going to be careful because I don't want to, if yours is wet, you don't want to tear your paper. That's really why you don't want to be using these things, other tools until it's dry. But I'm going to kind of stick in that paisley motif shape of my koi. And I'm going to kind of just blend my finger. And I just added a little bit so I have a little more value on my fish. And I'm going to do the same thing on this guy's head. I'm going to do that just a little, just a little. If you get in a little in the eye, that's okay. Don't worry. Okay, and then I'm going to also add a little on my lily pads. So you can definitely be adding color on top. With the chalk kind of pastel, I can just blend it. If I was to use a regular pastel, let me show you, just in case someone's using regular pastels. If I can get this bad boy out of here. There you go. You could do the same thing. You can add, remember, oil pastels are obviously, they're one of my favorite art tools or art mediums because they're so fun, honestly. And they blend so cool. You can get such a cool effect with that. Maybe you can get into those smaller areas where maybe your paintbrush didn't fit, whatever the case is. You can also create different values, blend things. I'm going to actually add a little of this green too, maybe on some of the lines, just to add maybe on this edge, okay? Just to have maybe a deeper green, that's fine. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Adds a little value over there. Very beautiful. Maybe I want to take a little of my orange pastel and add some of that in my fin. Of course you can. Just be careful, like I said, if your paper's wet like mine, you could easily tear your paper, so be careful. Because if you did all this gorgeous work and then you tear it, you will be sad, and I don't want anybody sad, so make sure you're taking your time. Okay, now the last thing is, if I want to, I might add a little more on my blue. Some of you might have put salt down. If you did that, you might not want to add anything right now because you want it to dry. I might take a deeper blue around some of my edges of my... Okay, thank you for the time. Around the edges of my flowers, I might blend that a little bit more too. or not flowers, but lily pads. Okay, they're kind of a flower, I guess. They're a plant, at least. Just add a little value, maybe around the edge. I'm going to take a little water on a brush and go right on this edge of my fish. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my marker into that and kind of blend, just add a little bit of value. Look at how beautiful, can you see that? Look at how beautiful that watercolor effect on that edge is, just from that deeper blue. Just kind of add a shadow. I'm going to do a little here. Same thing. Could you just add a different shade of blue of paint? Of course. If you don't have that, or even if you do, I have it, but I'm going to still use my marker because the marker is giving a really cool effect into that water, just to add different value. Remember, value is the lightness and darkness of an object or a shape. So right now when I do that, just adding some other value, kind of just to show the shadow and the depth of the water. Okay, I'm going to snap my cap. Snap. All right, whoops. Stop. Right now you see my beautiful bird's eye view koi fish artwork. It's looking amazing. This was the first example, which is very similar. Of course, this one's dry, my other one's wet. But you see what we did today. Very nice. I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera. I want to see all your examples. Make sure that you post them at art class on Instagram at #artclass with Ms.A. or on any kind of social media that you can post with Art Class with Ms.A. If you missed the lesson or need to go back or want to tell someone else about it and do something, I love your art. Thank you. I love that too. Someone's snapping the cap. Glad you guys are all here. But you can always go back to YouTube where I've archived all the stuff. Some videos are better than others because it just depends how it records. Sometimes it archives perfectly for me, and then other times it's like bink, bink, bink. But they are there. So hopefully if you missed anything or need to go back, make sure that you come join us. Make sure that you post your stuff. Remember, the koi is a symbol of strength, power, good fortune. And we did bird's eye view drawings and paintings and added color. Bye to whoever's saying bye to me. Bye, Claire. This is one of their favorite lessons. I love that. Thank you. Lots of hearts. Good job. So make sure that you send your pictures. Make sure that you look up the legend of the koi fish, because I looked it up today and I love it. It's very interesting, even more than I knew. So I miss you guys. I will see you next Wednesday at 12:30. Same bat time, same bat channel. Make sure you send out your stuff. Have a great weekend. Be good to your moms. Miss you. Love you. Have a great day. Bye, guys. Okay, now hold on.